All right. Pleasant, good afternoon, beautiful Sunday afternoon to everyone online and viewing us here at the Parental Upgrade podcast. We are so glad to have everyone joining us for this sixth episode of the Parental Upgrade podcast. Um, it is the third Sunday of the month. And as we promised, the Excel Parental Upgrade podcast, surviving in a Gen Z, now a Gen Alpha world. And today we have a very interesting topic that we have for you that we want to address today. So it's really a pleasure to be in your homes, in your cars, in your living rooms, wherever you are watching us from. All right, we do have our live chat on today, and we want to take this opportunity to basically get everyone involved. If you want to say hi to all those who are watching, all right, we are glad to have you guys with us. All right, and this is a this is a program of the Excel Success Academy International School. I am Adrian Clement, the principal and director at the Excel Success Academy. And joining me, one of our co-hosts, Miss Heather. And absent today is Miss Walker. Hi, Miss Walker, if you're watching us live today. All right, but we are really glad to have you join us. So without any further delay, the Excel Parental Upgrade podcast really is a safe space for parents to be able to, for all parents, have the opportunity to share their thoughts, their issues, their challenges with parenting, either a student or a child. You may even be a grandparent, being the legal guardian for, adopting your grandchildren. In this today's society, we are in an aging society, according to the CSO. The young people are dying out faster than the old people. All right, and we have a lot of seniors that are taking care of their grandchildren full time. And whatever role you are parenting, this platform is for you. All right. So without any further delay, I want to introduce Heather, and she's going to share her greetings.
Hi everyone, good day. It really is a pleasure to be here, speaking with you on this topic. Should I tell them the topic today?
Of course.
Right. So our topic for today is a very interesting one. Red flags in parenting. Right. There are lots, but today, however, we will just focus on two, given the time. So today we will be focusing on two. So today's topic, red flags in parenting or parental red flags.
Excellent. All right. We normally with either a brain teaser or just a icebreaker as to get parents on board. We are just looking at our time today, so we're going to jump right into our topic. All right, because of the time, but we just want to say hi to everyone. We have a very amazing bunch of parents at the Excel Success Academy, and also a couple of parents that works with us through the work that we are doing at the Excel Success Academy. We have a lot of parents that works with us in community, and the feedback we get is amazing. All right. So a little later on, we're gonna share with you a little bit more about the Excel Success Academy. We do have intake for September 2025 for the new school year of 2025-2026. And we will tell you more about that in an ad we're going to share with you. So, Miss, you introduced a very interesting topic today, and we want to be able to just, have a nice, healthy discussion. And that's the purpose of this platform today, right? The Parental Upgrade Podcast. So, welcome again to all. So you want to take it away, Miss?
Yes, so our topic, as I mentioned before, red flags in parenting or parental red flags. And today we will be focusing, as I said, on two areas, which are the helicopter parents and the indulgent parents. And why these two parenting styles are red flags? Because it extremely affects the child's growth and development um, in whether it's in academics, social interaction, um, career choices, self-esteem. Um, so these are very important areas that we will be looking at today, and I really hope you enjoy the discussion.
That is correct. Now, Miss, we have the privilege of interacting with students and parents on a daily basis because of the work that we do as educators, as teachers, and even the very inception of this Parental Upgrade podcast came about as seeking for solutions to some of the challenges we are having um, in our student population today, at the primary level, at the secondary school level, and even we are getting reports from lecturers, at the tertiary level, that the caliber of students today is challenging. So there are different behavioral issues, attitudinal issues, all fleshing out in the academic performance. We started the Excel, for those of you who are seeing this program for the first time, we will have started this program um, with a theme or topic that we started with, and we called it conscious parenting, or put being before doing. And with conscious parenting, a concept that has been developed, even authored by a book by Dr. Schaffeler, right? She authored a book called Conscious Parenting, and she basically spoke about how the parents of today are trying to provide for their children a lifestyle or an opportunity to receive or to have a better life that they themselves never had. And in the process, you find a mixture of, I call it new age parenting techniques, right? And a mixture of traditional techniques. They say if it's good, you keep it, you don't throw it away, right? But in some cases, we have some parents who throw away, how the saying goes, they throw away the baby with the bathwater,
Yeah.
as it relates to parenting techniques. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, definitely. I could see for millennial parents, some of us, I'm not saying all, some, we tend to overcompensate on especially areas where we did not receive certain things from our parents. So we tend to overcompensate, whether being Maybe we were not privileged to have certain things or to go certain places. So with our children now, we tend to give them everything, or we call it a better life, you know. However, this can be a positive or a negative depending on your approach. However, what we observe as teachers and as parents too, there's a lot of the negative that is happening where we forget the importance of working for what we want. And um, it's really becoming a more indulgent or overprivileged society where children now don't really understand the importance of working towards what they want. As an example could be a child may want, let's just say, a PS5. Back in our day, when we wanted something, and the something is not PS and phone and stuff, no, we might have wanted maybe a dolly or an outfit. However, we had to work for it, whether we got all correct in our spellings or tables or tests. In order to get that gift or to get that item we so desired, it wasn't just handed to us. However, now, some parents, I'm not saying all, some parents tend to just give freely, give their children stuff, whatever they ask for, without even working for it. And it makes them become ungrateful because they say, well, okay, my mommy, I want this. Well, my mommy and my daddy will give me this, or give me the PS5 without even working for it. For birthdays, well, it's my birthday, so I want. You tend to hear that a lot. I want. Not I deserve it or I worked for it, but I want it, so I'm going to get it. And there is where the challenge really is, because now children are expecting their teachers to give them stickers and rewards for not even putting in much effort into their work. For instance, a child might want a sticker and they got 8 out of 10 in a spelling test. Really? In which universe only if you get 10 out of 10, you get full reward?
That's correct.
Right? So it is this type of behavior is stemming or crossing over into the academic life, or for becoming what I should say, problematic for teachers, because now we are trying to teach them you have to work for a reward, whether it's getting a pencil, a sticker, a stamp, little rewards, a lollipop, a sweetie. And when you do give these children these things, it's like this, they're not even appreciative of the fact that they got a little gift. And those who did not get, they will complain to their parents, I get 7 out of 10, I didn't get a sweetie. And now we have the tendency of rewarding lack of work. A child will get a certificate of participation, whether they win the game or not. They get a medal. Why is it? How did it reach like this?
Correct.
So today's topic is the indulgent parents. Now it's okay to reward your children, now and again, but they must work for what they want. However, life as an adult, you have to work for what,
Work for what you
you
want.
want.
That's correct.
If you want a car, you have to work for that car. If you want a house, you have to work for that house. So, if we do not correct this type of behavior from now, imagine how society will be.
That's correct.
Where people or citizens will be expecting to get a house, but the government didn't give me a house.
Yes.
I want a house and the government didn't give me a house.
Yes.
Really? I want a car, but the bank didn't want to give me the money. The bank didn't want to give me a loan. Are you qualified?
That's the question.
So this type of behavior needs to be addressed. Parents. That indulgent behavior, I must give. And sometimes really the reality is we do this, we give them anything they want because really to compensate, to compensate for time, quality time spending with them. You don't have that time because you as the parent, you're working so hard to give the children all what they want. Instead, all they really want is time to be spent with you. But here you are working so much to give them everything they want as a form of compensation of really spending time with them. So you become overindulgent. Just to please them, just for them to leave you alone, really. Let's be real, parents. We do that. We tend to do that in really spending time with our children. When last have you carried your children out for ice cream or even playing a board game, cards with them? Whether it's Uno, whether it's Monopoly, Scrabble. When last, parents? Let us be real. So this type of parenting, yes, it is a red flag because it is negatively affecting or impacting our children and their behavior. Because now they come in school and they will expect Miss to give them or Sir to give them whatever they want.
Yes.
When they want to play, they should be given that time to play. They don't want to do no work, the teacher should allow them not to do any work. But parents, teachers' job are really to teach and enlighten your children, not to parent your children. However, we are doing that, which is not our job or responsibility.
Yeah.
So it is making the classroom become even challenging because now we have to compensate for your lack of parenting, right? So, what are your thoughts, Mr. Clement?
Well, it's becoming a handful when it comes to how does a teacher or educator manage a classroom of, let's say, 20, 25, 30 students, and you have these one or two students within the bunch that has been badly parented and has gotten the wrong impression of what life really is. And when I say life, I mean how do you function in groups like a classroom?
Yeah.
How do you socialize and interact with people in public spaces? So social etiquette is, that's a big dysfunction we are seeing today. Children not learning how to socialize properly. Some of them are just socially awkward. Some of them do not work in teams. Some of them just lack politeness, just social graces. They are playing sports, and the minute they lose the game, they throw temper tantrums.
If you have group projects, you are seeing them, um, depending on their personality profile, of course. One may want to steal all the thunder in the presentation or steal the show. As you know, the superstar in the bunch. You have all of these different, um, I would say, kickbacks or disadvantages when we don't really teach children the balance principles of um, of parenting, social responsibility, and I would say holistic development, childhood development.
Correct.
That is where it becomes a handful for teachers and just society on a whole, because why? The family is the microcosm of the macrocosm. The microcosm is the smaller unit, the macrocosm is the larger unit. The family is the smaller social unit, and whatever they see is allowed or practiced in the home, they see it as law to practice in public life. And that is where we are seeing the challenges here now, that students are practicing some very unfortunate behavior, very unacceptable behavior, language even. And in the classroom, it's where, as they say, all hell breaks loose, and the teacher now has to deal with the fallout of those challenges.
Yes, the teacher has to address or parents when they're supposed to be teaching. Um, just on another note, while Mr. Clement was speaking, sometimes even in group activities or group projects, those children who expect everything is supposed to be handed to them, sometimes they don't fully participate and would tag along and then expect to get full marks along with the group. And this is where it becomes a challenge, because as an educator, we're supposed to be reasoning and serve some sense of fairness to all students, especially in group activities. Mark students according to their participation and involvement. And I know sometimes it can be a challenge, especially for those students who are doing CSEC and they have SBAs and they have to do it in a group. You tend to see those issues fostering or rearing its head, not only in CSEC level, however in university level as well. So this type of parenting style overindulgence, as I told someone earlier today, this parenting style really occurs when the parent is trying to overcompensate for their lack of issues, or try to cover their own personal issues that they are dealing with, and they try to overcompensate
Yeah.
for their lack of inabilities then, right? Their inabilities to actually acknowledge their shortcomings and work on getting better. So for instance, let's just say you are a parent who maybe you wasn't really privileged growing up, right? And you have a child now, and in your mind, because you had a way, or you felt a particular way when others had and you did not have, and that brought a sense of low self-esteem, and you weren't able to be satisfied with what you have or had, or maybe your parents couldn't have given you exactly what you wanted, and that made you feel insecure or not good enough amongst your peers. And now you are in a position to give your children a better life. And because your fear is because you have low self-esteem or a fear of rejection and not acceptance from others, you tend to make sure your children have everything.
Everything, yeah.
So they will not be feeling left out. But my question is it right? Are you helping your child, or are you fostering something else later on?
Well, I'm so glad that you raised that observation there, because that is where we are having a challenge with society today. We all know of the 4 parenting styles, and the 4 parenting styles, basically, it's where we look at how parenting profiles, and there are the 4 basic ones. All right, you have the authoritative. All right, we would have mentioned that before. That's the more positive, healthy parenting style, where the child knows what is right from wrong. The parents set very clear boundaries, for that child to operate in. The child feels free to express their opinions, and to contribute even to the discipline matrix of the home, or the culture of social life in the home. The child is held accountable for actions. If you don't do your chores, these are the consequences. And the child understands clearly. There's a clear kind of communication between who is authority and who is the child. And that builds a healthy relational dynamic, right, in a relationship. Then we have the other, and if I will have, let me see if I could get this on the screen for all the parents to see it. All right, let me see if I could get this actually on the screen, so that way you can see it clearly. All right, just trying to see if I can get this down, because it's very, very, very important for all the parents to get a clear view of how these things impact children behavior. All right, so we are looking at the different styles of parenting, and how that impacts on student behavior. Now, we're dealing with helicopter parenting specifically, and Heather is going to share just an oversight of what that is, because that is actually the helicopter parenting, based on our research, is that only happened within the last decade. That term only became trending within the past decade.
Yeah.
But we were very familiar with the 4 basic styles, and our psychologists would have done some work in that in the 1980s, around there, that we are just trying to display and show for you today. All right, so what we are looking at is how parenting styles teachers develop attachment issues for children, 1, and 2, how those styles also affects development as a child. So these are the impacts of parenting styles on children. And this is basically what we're talking about today. We are literally talking about how these styles affect students' academics, as you can see on the screen. It affects academics. It affects excuse me for 1 minute. Just bear with us for 1 moment. All right. So as I was saying, that these programs or these programming, for want of a better word, these behavioral styles program students into a certain social mold. As you know, we're all social creatures, and children practice what they see modeled before them in the home. All right, and we are looking on the screen and we are seeing some of these impacts. We are seeing mental health issues. All right, so during the pandemic, we saw an escalation of mental health issues where students um, coming out of the of fights that was just breaking out across the country in April, May of 2021 when schools reopened after the pandemic. And where was all this anger coming from? Where was all this, violence, from? We knew that it happened because of the online bullying that took place, the online wars as they call it, children who are at home and using the devices, these devices that government is spending millions on for students to get as to upgrade our ICT competencies and computer literacy, savviness for the world of work. But however, students, as they say, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. So if we give these devices, we give them access to these online platforms with no real boundaries and no real protective cyber safety mechanisms in place, what they see, in society. So all these were some of the challenges we were seeing on a rampant basis that we have to address. Yes, and so I'm just going back quickly to what we were talking about in terms of the different parenting styles. All right, and we spoke about the authoritative, right? We spoke about authoritative, and the authoritative style is really how what we recommend for a healthy, responsible um, child in society, right? Now we're going to take it a bit further, and we are talking about the permissive parent. All right, this is the parent really that we call it lazy sphere, right?
Yes, the laissez-faire, permissive, or overindulgent parents. And this type of parenting style opens, I would say, Pandora's box. Because here the child is expecting to receive everything that they want, or the child in this sense is more in control, whereas the parents are the givers and the child is just receiving everything, whether good or bad. Child has a lot of tantrums, they are very spoiled, self-centered, and this type of behavior, when it relates to classroom interaction, here is where they have a
Real
lot
issues.
of
A lot of
issues
issues.
because they expect their teacher to treat them the same way as their parents. However, some of these children really get a rude awakening because their teachers, however, are not indulgent,
Mm-hmm.
We are very, or I will say most teachers are authoritative, meaning that you get rewarded when you follow the rules, you do what is expected, you work hard, yes, you will be rewarded. However, a child who is overindulgent by their parents, or in this case, permissive, will expect to get things when they haven't worked for it,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives them a rude awakening, into their world. However, um, some ways, because this program we try to give, we are solution based, what can we do as parents who sometimes, allow our children to do whatever they want or give them whatever they want. And as I said, that is really to compensate for whatever flaw or area or insecurity you might be facing as a parent. However, that is okay. We are here to learn. And what we need to do as parents is to ensure we create healthy habits
Mm-hmm.
and finding alternative sources of pleasure. Meaning that if the child always expects to get, let's just say, a candy every day, let them work for it. Why don't you learn shoes? Like putting shoes on weekends. Okay, let's not be start with healthy habits. Yes, it might take time, but start.
That's correct.
And in small ways, they try to, encourage them to do chores. And when they do chores correctly, you give them a reward, or even have a nice chat, where you have, okay, if you do this chore, you get a sticker. If you do that chore, if you do your homework on your own, you get a sticker, or I will reward you with an hour of TV or hour of games, you know. Start to create healthy habits, create healthy environment, create healthy habits as an alternative source of pleasure, not just giving them, well, they want to watch TV, okay, well, go ahead, watch the TV. That is instant gratification. Let them work for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this could work even from 2 years old, parents,
Mm-hmm.
from 2 years old. Give them a chore. Okay, put your pamper in the bin. you know, give them little chores. They can do it from 2 years old, or even 18 years old sometimes. Give them, chores.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. That is correct. We have to start. We have to start as early as possible.
Yes.
I always tell parents, you don't have much time
No.
in impacting your child. You really, really don't have much time. And one of the challenges you have is that when children don't have the time, you don't have the time rather to give the impact that you want to have, that is going to create that is going to create a lot of challenges for the child's perspective of life, perspective and training of life. right? And I'll give an example. So you have from 0 to 7 years old before a child steps. Actually, you have until they start preschool at 4 years old.
No, 2.5.
2.5 years. So
Yeah.
from 2.5 years, especially for working parents, you have um, you're not seeing your child for about, let's say, 8 hours a day. So you actually have from younger, for parents who have both parents working, you have to now prepare them from much earlier, from potty training, mannerisms, being responsible, um, respect for elders, how to play with other children, from because you're not seeing that child, right? And there are certain responsibilities we just cannot abdicate,
Yeah.
and often that responsibility on the part of teachers or caregivers, um, or preschool teachers to teach your child.
Mhm.
That is that is that is that is tantamount um, to being um, illusional. You know, it is simply an illusion. Um, it's simply not practical. All right. And so one of the things we want to somewhat go deeper in as we kind of this program, but we want to really quickly touch on the importance of the importance of why helicopter parenting, which is better known as um, over-involved parents. All right, over-involved parents. That is the one that has become a major challenge in today's society, and we really have to look at how this parenting style, which is better known as helicopter parenting, is really creating, in some cases, huge
For the children, for the parents, for our flaws, you know. So helicopter parenting refers style of children rearing in which parents are overly involved in their child's life and often attempting to solve their problems and shield them from adversity. Now it is okay to protect your children. No one is saying no. It is okay. But it becomes a problem when you tend to solve all their issues for them. Say for instance, the child come home and say, Mommy, John didn't want to play with me today. And then you now telling the child, instead of trying to find out why John didn't want to play with you. Okay, well, don't worry. On the weekend you were playing with Mary, your neighbor, right? Don't worry, leave John. Don't play with John. She don't want to play with you, leave her. Don't play with John. Why? Because you didn't even ask the child. Why did John didn't want to play with you? Maybe John was sick and John didn't want to play because John was sick. But here's now the parent telling their child not to play with John and play with somebody else. Did you take time to ask why? Because you don't want to see or hear your child is feeling upset and not waiting to find out, okay, so how come John didn't want to play with you? You all had an argument and you didn't even ask questions. Communicate, guys, communicate. right? Ask why John didn't want to play with it. And let the child say, well, John had a headache. John had a headache, so she didn't want to play because she was sick, right? So trying to solve issues for our children and not giving them the opportunity to solve it or resolve it. Yes, you can give advice, but don't make that advice comes to the detriment of a friendship. So here now, the mother saying, don't play with John. John comes the next day to play with, let's say, Amy, who is the child, and the child say, my mother said don't play with you, so I'm not playing with you. I'm playing with Mary. And now you hurt, Amy hurt John. Instead of Amy saying, Mommy, John didn't play with me today, she had a headache. The mother was, her response was supposed to be, oh, that's okay. If someone is not feeling well, you let them be, you know. But maybe tomorrow she might be feeling good and she will play with you tomorrow. Don't worry.
You see, but allow me to interject here. This is the challenge we have. These are some of the conflicts that we have when a parent, instead of taking what you call a teaching moment, a parenting moment, to teach that child a life skill, you know, that that in social development or in social skills, you know, that is life. Not everybody is going to like you, or not everybody is going to treat you the way you will treat them, you know. And in that moment, that parent should take that teaching moment to teach a child solid life skills. All right, solid life skills in identity, in self-awareness, in
Yes.
self-esteem, in self-concept. That is where that parent should take. But the problem with the helicopter, the over-involved parent, is that I, I call that type of parenting a very emotionally immature, low IQ parenting. Hands down low IQ. You know, where they will jump in to protect the child or jump in to defend the child for absolutely no reason. It's a normal, you know, situations like that are what you call life.
Yes.
Not everybody will like you. What do you do?
Or, for instance, maybe the child lost a pencil
Yeah.
or lost a stationery, and here's the parent calling the teacher after hours to ask about a pencil,
Mm-hmm.
where the parent should just say, okay, tomorrow you need to be a little more
Responsible.
responsible.
Yeah.
Put away your items when you use it. Be responsible. So the parent's job is to say, okay, you shouldn't be that careless. You need to be responsible and then hold them accountable.
Accountable. That's correct. Hold them accountable.
Go to school tomorrow and look for it. And if you don't get it back, well then your punishment is XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not giving you another pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I do give you an next pencil and you lost it, well, you have to write with your finger. But we need to hold them accountable and teach them how to be responsible. It could also be with regards to secondary school. The child chose not to write notes when the teacher is giving notes. Chose not to write the notes. And then the parent now is asking the teacher for the notes that the child deliberately not wrote or went and do the research for the child. So say for instance a child got a project, which teachers we do give projects, right? And We as teachers, we know the difference between a child doing a project from a parent who did the project for the child, or where homework was given and the parent did the homework. Would that be for that parent? Did your child learn the lesson that was taught for the day? Where homework is just to reinforce what was learned for the day, to concretize it. But if you, the parent, do the work and then the child comes the next day, the teacher gives a pop quiz. The child got all correct in homework, but for the quiz, they got 0. Come on. You are not helping the child, you are suffering the child because now they are embarrassed they got all wrong, right? Whereas in homework they got all correct. So we as teachers, we need to know how much the child understands. So as the teacher, the educator, we can now observe and say, okay, we need to go back. I need to go back and teach this because the students didn't get it. That's the whole purpose of homework. But if the parents does the report, do the project, the child is not learning the key skills that was, or objectives that was intended to be learned. So helicopter parents or overindulged parents, whether it is in academics, in sports, whatever area, you are not helping your child. You are stifling them. Even to be resilient. If you come in or jump into situations all the time to rescue them, to protect them and not give them a sense of independence.
You make them codependent.
You make them codependent.
Yeah.
Later on in life, they will have problems in society.
Because society is designed in such a way that those who excel are those who are independent thinkers, those who are independent and responsible, show initiative, they are able to take charge of a situation, and that is where it becomes it becomes a disservice to that child, in that you have created a dependency syndrome in that child, thinking that, okay, mommy and dad to save the day.
Yes.
Because you are their superhero. And that may stroke your ego, right, for a period in time. But to that child, when they become an adult, it's a huge crippling effect on their, you paralyze their potential.
Yes, and not only potential, sometimes we do the task for them. So say for instance, chores, right, in the house. You sweep and you clean the child. We see this a lot. Many teachers see this a lot. And the child has to maybe clean up their research to do. Leave them. The same time they could be watching YouTube all the time. Let them research the topic on YouTube or go on Google and research it on their own instead of you researching it for them. You can monitor them. No one is saying no, right? But give them the opportunity to some space to develop independence. 2, help your child make their own decisions and guide them when necessary. So for instance, that issue where Amy didn't want to play with Jan, ask your child certain questions. Okay, so why Jan, wasn't able to play with you today? Jan said she had a headache, Let them figure it out on them, for themselves, right? As Mr. Campbell be a teaching opportunity, not just telling them what to do. Let your child make mistakes and learn from them. They didn't study, they didn't do the homework, Leave them. Say, okay, you didn't do the homework, I told you to do it anyway. When they go to school and the teacher give them lines, I must do my homework. Let them, leave them, let them make mistakes. They will learn to do their homework or to complete a task.
That's correct.
4. Give your child appropriate responsibilities to build independence. Right? Let them be accountable, let them be responsible by giving certain chores, age appropriate, you know. Let them figure it out on their own. Right? 5. Equip your child with problem-solving tools by fostering communication. When you teach them ask certain questions and you teach them communication skills, they now will put that into effect.
Correct.
And ask, but why? How? And these questions are very pertinent to solve situations, right?
That's
Yes,
correct.
sir?
That's correct. And so these are some of the skill sets that parents should adopt. The positive approach. You see, when you do that, you empower your child and you want your child empowered. I know, you see, so you have the different parenting styles will have different expectations of that child. For example, an authoritarian parent does not want an empowered child. Why? Because an empowered child thinks on their own. You follow? The authoritarian parent may think that a child thinking on their own may question their authority. May question, so why not to play with his friend? You know? Or why this? And they always question. That's an empowered child, but you want your child empowered because a child learns mainly through curiosity. That is their God-given learning curve. All right. And so when you empower your child using these techniques or these approaches that Heather just shared, it's all about preparing your child, you as the parent will no longer bear of.
Correct.
That is the goal of parenting.
Yes.
The goal of parenting is so that you have done a good job in releasing that child into the world, knowing that you have given them the right principles, you have given them the right examples, you have given them the right education, morals, values, all the graces and all of the training that make them a successful, responsible, independent, high-performing contributor and leader in society.
Correct.
That's the goal of parenting. You should be comfortable and proud that you have done a good job, and now it's time to empty the nest. It should be a liberating feeling. It should not be an anxious, nerve-wracking, fearful feeling. I wonder how we going to survive living on our own. I wonder if he could cook. I wonder how we could do in his first job. America is plagued with, unfortunately, dysfunctional parenting fails. Where even to job interviews, parents are walking into the interview lobby with their young adults. It is ridiculous. But this is because we are seeing signs and symptoms on a large scale right here in Trinidad, and we are seeing the effects of it in the level of crime, escalation in our country, where an indulgent parent not teaching a child how to work hard for something, that child grows up thinking, okay, well, I could get what I want whenever I want.
Yes.
That's where the criminal mindset comes in, and we don't even recognize it. Delinquency comes in. when I went to school, I remember dealing with a few classmates like that. They will come to school with their bags literally with 3 copybooks. When you do the background search and you check, it's because who is this big man who has this business, who in charge of that company and this company. So they come to school with a mentality, well, my future unfixed, you know. And that is on what you call, that is on the middle upper class end, because of course I attended a college, but I saw that even in the junior sec system, and I tell them my age here now, that some is going to come with these books in lower scale. They come with books in the bag, copy books in the bag. Why? Because they don't know, they're not built for books. The community preaching that to them, you know, we don't do academic excellence here, we don't do good in school in this community, you know, running drugs or linemen on the block is the highest achievement. Any young boy, the highest achievement is teenage pregnancy, making a child for one of the fellows on the block or for one of the gangsters in the area, and a gangster man will take care of you. These are some of the realities, and I'm talking from the highest end of the social class and scale to the lowest end.
High level of delinquency, because why? They know their parents use, you know. I remember someone saying when a young boy died, all the mother would say, oh, that's not a good child, he was a good boy, you know, but he killed somebody, or he stole something. How can that be? You know, you covering for them even when the child is the culprit.
Yeah.
You know, we need to unlearn our hovering traits, you know, and tendencies towards our children. So, parents, it was really an interesting program. Really do appreciate all the support and, you know, the level of comments, you know, parents will say, and testimony, thank you for teaching us or building on certain issues. However, feel free to leave your comments on certain topics you would like us to talk about or address, and we will definitely speak about it, you know, have a conversation. So, parental upgrade, surviving in this Gen Z, Gen Alpha world. Any closing remarks still?
Well, at this point, we definitely want to bring, we definitely want to bring to the awareness of the public that we are currently in the process of at the we are currently in the process here at the Excel Success Academy. We are in the process of, as we said earlier, we are registering students for the new school term, which is September 2025. And this is something we're excited about because we have been seeing some phenomenal results at the Excel Success Academy. For if you have never heard about the Excel Success Academy before, we are a private primary and secondary school, and our goal is to mentor, inspire innovative education to students who are struggling both in academics and in life. You know, we are not only focusing on that child's academic performance, but the holistic performance socially, emotionally, mentally, and professionally. So we have packages at the tuition packages, which is tailored for two specific outcomes desire of their children. Whether they want, we have the Superstars tuition package, and that focuses on strictly academic improvement and performance. It's more remedial in nature. And then we have the global leaders tuition um, um, stream, and that really focuses on the parent that want that full holistic development for their child. Leadership to career certifications. We have being connected to the John Maxwell Company. We do certificate programs. We actually have a program running right now for secondary school students called Maximize Impact Coaching. And that program is really geared towards young professionals now leaving school, and they are entering into their first job, or working for the past few years, and they are trying to up level their game in on the career scene, and they're looking for certain soft skills, leadership skills, management skills, whether to accelerate their career or simply prepare themselves for a promotion that they're probably targeting. This is a game changer, and it also focused for entrepreneurs, people who are building their own business and brand. So it's a very exciting topic that we're looking at, and I just want to share this video with you as we prepare for you to call us, and get more information for registering for the Excel Success Academy. All right, so just take a look at this video as we prepare for September 2025. All right, so that is the Excel Success Academy International School, and we're really excited. Call us for any further information at 738 Excel 738 9235, and you can get all the information that you need. We've been having some phenomenal results. Students that came and in one term remedial, which is an R, 40% one term, just by a change of environment with our Destiny Right Path curriculum, where we motivate and we inspire students and we challenge them to be their best. We don't take no negativity. We don't accept, I can't and I can't, and I just normal, and those sort of mediocre behaviors. I told them we don't accept no failure behavior here. At Excel Success Academy, I shall, I will, and I must excel. And we see something called the Excel Success Pledge every day. And we have saw that Excel Success Pledge literally reprogram children's mindset towards learning, towards education, towards their future, towards their goals, how they dress begin to change, how they talk, how they interact and socialize. We have seen a complete transformation with students with the Excel Success Pledge. That is also a product of the school. If you want more information how you can get a copy of that Excel Success Pledge for a donation of only $10 or $20, that those funds goes towards running the school. You can get a copy of the Excel Success Pledge in a very handy, creative bookmarker, and those contributions will go a long way as into us impacting more students at the Excel Success Academy. But the Excel Success Pledge, we have seen children move from a R grade, miss, to a B grade in just one term. You're talking about, that's a whopping 300% increase in performance just within one term with a change of environment. So you're going to be hearing some more testimonies from our parents at the Excel Success Academy of why they are so impressed, or why their children have improved, for that in the next program. But for today, we want to say thank you so much for tuning in. We hope it was informative, educational, and we